thing then. But now that Jimmy's back, I mean, do we see the same offense as we saw last year, or do we see some of the stuff that we saw in this last game where at least he tries to throw a couple downfield? And I was pleasantly surprised. I'm hoping that Shanahan saw the benefit of that, and not that he completed those long passes, but that it creates opportunities. And it's you don't have to complete the pass. Sometimes you get lucky and you get that flag on it. That's just the way the NFL is now. So it's do you think that we see the same thing, or do you think that they're going to go to more of what we saw last week?
I really hope we see more of what we saw last week, because I thought the most impressive thing about Jimmy Garoppolo is he did a little pass interference hunting, and he got a couple of them called. Yep. When have we seen that? And it leads me to believe, because after the game, he said, I just went out there and threw the ball. I'm all about that idea of the Polo Show. Yeah. Jimmy, read option and power. I'm for it. I'm not against it. I'm very pro Jimmy Garoppolo quarterback sneak guy. Like, if you follow my Twitter,
especially at the sneak,
I update those sneak stats. I'm a big Jimmy Garoppolo sneak. I think he's 2 for 2 on the season.
Yep.
I really hope we see that offense, though, because I think it was pretty fun. I think, and my friend Jordan Elliott, Niners Nation, he tweeted out about how it was one of Garoppolo's best throws, but the throw to Brandon Ayuk on the sideline, the one that Ayuk dropped, that might have been the best Jimmy Garoppolo throw we've seen. So I don't know.
I don't think he was ready for it.
That's what it might have been, because you trust Ayuk on those throws. Yeah. It's almost like we're so used to Garoppolo missing those throws. It's like, wow, it's actually in the spot it needs to be. I hope the offense stays the same, but I think it's more likely at this point that it goes back to a little bit of what it was. And I don't know. I think the player that it might affect the most is Danny Gray, because when the Niners drafted Danny Gray this season, the first thought was, wow, what's this going to look like with Trey Lance and the big arm? But on the other side of it, Danny Gray, he was active in week 2 after a healthy scratch in week 1. He was targeted twice, both times by Garoppolo. Yeah. And I believe the one of the targets was, I think, 40 yards down the field, 50 yards down the field. It was a deep shot. So I don't know what it actually means for Danny Gray. He only played 8 snaps on Sunday, something like that, saw 2 targets. I don't know what it means. I would hope they would still continue the idea, just to at least, I don't know if it'll work or not, but to just at least give the defense an idea of, hey, maybe they're going to stretch it with Gray on this play. I know it's Garoppolo. We're used to him throwing short of the line. But maybe Shanahan saw something that he really liked comes on Sunday, and maybe the Niners try and push it upfield a little bit more, because I think there is something to what Garoppolo said post-game was he came in loose, and maybe there's something to it. I don't know. He had the idea of, hey, I'm not playing today, and then boom, you're in the game. Now you're just trusting instincts more so than scheme or plan or anything like that, because yes, he knows the offense, but he's not schemed every week when he's the backup. He's being treated like a normal backup. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm very excited. I think that's the most intriguing thing about this game on Sunday is, well, what's this offense going to look like now? Is it going to be a hybrid? Because obviously I know we joke about the read option with Garoppolo and all that stuff. Yeah. That aspect of the offense is obviously going to be gone, even though we did see one. I believe right before his touchdown, it was an option play at the goal line for Garoppolo. So maybe we see it every so often.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what this offense looks like come Sunday.
Yeah, and I think it was more like what we saw actually in 2017. Then when they didn't really have a game script for Garoppolo, and they kind of just let him go out there and play. And I think I've always had this little birdie in the back of my head with Shanny, and as far as he goes, is when he gets a chance to make a game script for a specific game script for a quarterback, it tends to keep them in a box. Mm-hmm. And I've always wondered could some of Garoppolo's like tendencies, we've always complained because he stays in one spot on the field, and it's always looks the same and all that stuff. I've always wondered, is that Shanny kind of keeping him in the box and not allowing him to make those other kind of throws? And now when he gets in a situation where they don't really have a game script for Jimmy, and they go in there and they have all these plays set up that they've been practicing all week, and now they're going to run them. And that just gave Jimmy carte blanche to do what he feels. And like, so I wonder about that.
I think the big thing I've learned watching Kyle Shanahan these past few years is trust is a huge thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know if he necessarily has 100% trust in Jimmy Garoppolo. I think it's pretty obvious he didn't have 100% trust in Trey Lance. And I think when he doesn't have trust in these players is you get a little more conservative play calling and more conservative and it's really interesting is Shanahan, when he doesn't have trust in guys, he's more conservative, but then when he needs to be conservative, he gets more aggressive, like in the Super Bowl, the 2 Super Bowls. It's really weird. He likes to play it safe until he needs to play it safe. And he's like, no, let's get loose and goosey now and have fun with it.
It's the obvious, when it's the obvious play call, and I think this frustrates everybody, is he gets that I think I'm the smartest guy in the room moment.
Yes.
And he just calls a random draw to juice.
Yeah, but but at the same time though, every so often it works, and we talk about how genius or how much of a genius Shanahan is. So I don't know necessarily if it is a trust thing. I think it is. He probably doesn't have 100% trust. I mean, you've seen how many times have we seen Garoppolo miss the underneath linebacker, things like that. There's definitely certain areas that Shanahan can't Shanahan can't design Garoppolo to throw to because of limitations. Although we almost saw him hit that sideline pass to Ayuk we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe he saw something in Garoppolo and said, okay, well, maybe if we keep it loose and let Garoppolo trust his instincts instead of, hey, this read. If you don't see one of them, figure it out yourself. But if you see one of them, go to it. Maybe Garoppolo plays a little better, but at this point, this is year 7 for him. We know what he is at this point. I don't think there's going to be any random new wrinkle to what Jimmy Garoppolo is. But who knows, man? Surprises happen. Remember that one year Ryan Tannehill was a top 10 quarterback? That's nowhere near a fact anymore.